Hey y'all, so I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial on how to do a custom skeleton for a KH3 custom weapon mod. You'll want to do this if, for example, you have a model like this one, which is made by, I don't have the link up, but it's made by June/MakaiHana975. I'll include the link to their DeviantArt post of this Keyblade in the description. But this is just a Xenoblade Keyblade that I'm just doing this one because it's just the first one I found that has a really good example of it not being lined up with the with the skeleton. So basically, if you have your model and it just will not line up with the chain, this is why you would want to do this. So basically, this is going to be assuming you've watched my previous video uploaded on my channel, which is my version 3 remake of my full custom weapons tutorial. So this is assuming you've already watched that and know how all of that works. So I'm going to be speeding through some of the processes and just doing the pieces that I didn't cover in that video to do a custom skeleton. So basically where we're at is I have my custom model in, I have it put on over elemental encoder's skeleton, because I'm going to be putting it over elemental encoder. I'm going to do this so I can export quickly later. But obviously the chain does not line up here. You can see that the chain does not line up with the skeleton, and I could scale it down and try to mess with it, but rather than do that, I'm just going to move the bones of the skeleton. So to do that, you're going to want to make sure you have the skeleton selected. Press tab to go into edit mode. Select the chain one bone, and then just use the red arrow to move it over to where you want it to be. So in this case, mine is right there. Now I'm going to do the same with the chain 2 bone. Then the chain 3 bone. And then chain 4. Or let me, hang on. Move this one to the end. That's the chain 7, which is unused in this case, so we put it right at the end. So you see, now I moved all of my bones to be lined up with my chain. There we go. And then we're ready to export. So I'm going to make sure all my materials are good. I don't need that one anymore. My UV maps are good. Okay, so now I'm going to click on the skeleton. I've already renamed this, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to export. I need to save first. I'm just going to name it that. I'm going to fix the settings. There we go, and export. Nope. Quads and guns. Okay. Ungrouped verts. Oh, my bad. I didn't assign the chains properly. Give me just 1 second. Let me do that. Yeah, so I forgot to assign the or to rig it. So let me do that really quick. There we go. And then forgot to mention, but to note, when you're doing a custom skeleton, um, make sure you have it may have issues if you move the bones closer to the center. In my case, I moved them away from the center, so there's not going to be any issues there. But if you move them closer to the center, there might be some issues. Like when I did my when I did excuse me, brain fart. When I did the my 358 days umbrella mod, I tried to make a custom skeleton and I had to move the chain closer to the center. And that caused some issues, which I'll show an image on screen if I remember to put it. But it kind of made the chain go off to the side because it got kind of caught on lingering collision. That may be fixable by messing with the Bonamic file, but I have not tried that yet, and I. But so if you have that issue, we can you can try and figure it out with help from the Open Cage Discord or something like that. But for the moment, I'm just going to do it where you move the chain away, and that will cause no issues whatsoever. So let me. I forgot to let me rig the rest of it to the wet bone. And deselect. Okay, there we go. So now I can export. There we go. All right, we're exported, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut, and we'll be in Unreal. Okay, so we are now in Unreal. I'm going to go ahead and create my file structure to get the model in. Sorry, 190. Not 190. No, ignore me. 120. That's elemental encoder. Model. Import. And go to do input Monado 20. There we go. Go import. Oh, it only did one of the. Interesting. Okay. I'm not gonna worry. I'll do the materials off camera, but for the skeleton, basically, your imported skeleton, you're gonna want to rename it. You're gonna rename it to something custom. So what I like to do is just do like skelecust, something like that. Just because you're not going to want to replace the game skeleton, and this time we are going to keep our skeleton in the cooked files. So just name it something that will not replace anything. Then you're going to want to you need to double click it. You need to add all of the sockets for it. So this means like where these tell it where like the magic effects come out of, and where the where like the start and end of like the attack hitbox, I believe. So to get those and to get what those are, you need to go into UModel, find your weapon, and then click the skeleton, then do Tools, Save Selected Packages, select where you want to save it, then do that. Then you're going to need another tool called the SOD2 Asset Editor, or I think it's renamed now, but we still call it the SOD2 Asset Editor because we used it before it got renamed. But you're going to open it. It's this thing. I'm just going to include the files in my description. In my description, I have a zip here. I'm just going to include that in there. But once you're in here, file open, then make your way to the file that you just saved. So in my case, it's going to be in character web. WS120 model skeleton, and then it'll be open, drop down code blocks, and you'll see these here. Then go ahead and just click on this. You'll see the name of it and the name of it and the bone it's attached to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into here. We're gonna right click on web, which is what it's attached to, and click add socket. Then we're going to name it what it was, ATK underscore 000. Oh, I renamed that. I named that wrong. ATK 00. Then we're going to look at the it's going to have either relative location and relative location and relative rotation. You're just going to copy these values. Value 1 is x, value 2 is y, value 3 is z. So we're going to go, and on the z-axis for relative rotation, let me just maximize this, make it easier to see, we're going to do 180. All right, so I just need to make a quick edit to the tutorial here. As I'm editing this, I realized something. Basically, when you're entering in rotation specifically, so for location, you don't need to worry about it. The rotation is the same. There's no change there. But for rotation specifically, it's listed wrong in SOD2. So it's actually listed as YZX for some reason. So when you're changing it, the only value that changes for rotation is this third value. So it should actually be X that you change, not Z. So that's just a quick little addendum. The video is going to continue, and I'm going to keep changing Z for the rotation, but just note that if you're doing rotation, it should just be X that you're changing, but it should be the same value that's listed here, just because the the SOD2 asset editor lists it incorrectly for some reason. But yeah, just change the X value on the rotation. There we go. And do the same thing for the other ones. So in this next, it's a TK01. So import, or sorry, add socket ATK01. It's going to be relative location 80, so that's the default for elemental encoder. But you'll see it doesn't quite reach the end of the keyblade here, so I'm actually just going to adjust it by dragging it along a little bit till it reaches about the end there. So that's about 100.5, I would say. I'm just going to round it just to be safe there. So there we go. Or just to make it a nice cleaner number. Then for relative location, once again, it's 180 on the Z. Right, and then do the other three. Next one is going to be VFX call. Socket VFX call. Then relative location. I am going to copy this value just to be sure. Did I not copy that? Control C. Control V. There we go. Again, that's not quite at the end, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust that again. Back to, I'll do 101 for this one, because this one was a little further along than the other ones was. And then the Z axis is -6. There we go. That makes it a little higher there. And then two more really quickly. VFX top. Oh, not paste socket. Add socket. VFX top. And for the location, it's 80 again, so I'm going to... Oh, wait, sorry, hang on. This one's was a bit before, so I'm actually going to decrease this a little bit. I guess to about there. I'll do like 85 just as an example. You can toy around with this, but then so this will be 100.5 was where I put that. No other change there. Relative location once again is Z180. Whoops, that's relative location, relative rotation rather. There we go. That fixes it. And then skeletal mesh socket, last one will be VFX bottom. There we go. And then it will be 15 and 180. There we go. So this one I'm not going to change because it's just at the start of it. And then relative rotation is 180. There we go. So that's that. We added all the sockets. Then there's one more thing we need to do. You're going to want to create a folder for Kingdom Key, so WSOLNO. Regardless of what Keyblade you're replacing, you just want to use Kingdom Key's thing here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this over because we just need a dummy skeleton to reference. And so I'm going to rename it to the Kingdom Keys skeleton, WSOONO O skeleton. And then I'll just double check a new model to make sure that's the right name, which I believe it is, but just to double check. Yep. So we're going to delete this one from our cooked files because we're not going to need it, but we do need it to reference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off of the sockets. You'll notice right over here there's a SQEX, and then there's a compatible skeleton list. Press plus once. Go to this, drag Kingdom Keys skeleton onto that, press save, and then under M ignore nodes, press plus once and type chain 1 like that, and then press save. You can exit out. And now I'm going to set up the rest of it, and then we'll get to cooking. Okay, I'm cutting back while I'm putting everything else into. Just note, to do the chain physics, it's the exact same as normal. Just do KBD. Bonamic and a driver, and then Bonamic, you make the Bonamic for the skeleton you're using and edited. In my case, I imported elemental encoders into the into Blender, and now I am going to use its Bonamic because I used that skeleton and just edited it. So click save. There we go. And now I'm going to cut till I do the rest of it. All right, now I have everything else done. I'm going to cook content. Give it just a second to cook. Okay, so I am in my cooked folder. I have already added the localization. I'm going to delete editor, comment, and maps. Then we're going to go into character web. We're going to delete the Kingdom Key folder. I will say unless you are replacing Kingdom Key, then you wouldn't delete the whole folder. But in my case, I am deleting the whole folder. If you were replacing Kingdom Key, you would just delete Kingdom Key's base skeleton, physics, and Bonamic. In my case, the only thing in that folder was Kingdom Key's base skeleton. So what we're gonna do is just go in here. I'm going to delete the physics and Bonamic, but I'm going to keep my custom skeleton this time. Also, I should note the Unreal Engine version you need is the same version as the previous tutorial and the Trace Game U project. You need all of that. But again, like I said, this is assuming you've watched the previous tutorial, but just to make sure this is the engine that you need. But yeah, so we have all of our materials, textures, the mesh, and now our custom skeleton. I'm now going to make the pack file. And send to repack compression. Going to copy. I'm going to go to my mods folder and put it in here. Let me make sure I don't have another. Yeah, I do not have another weapon over elemental encoder at the moment, so this should be good. And then we're going to launch the game. We're just gonna continue. And okay. Game, we're going to equip Elemental Encoder or Mighty Monado. Oh, I had the wrong... whoops. Okay, well, I'll fix that when I get to it, but I'll fix that before I release this mod, but basically now we're going to equip it, and you can see the chain works properly. It's got its own, like it's at the correct place. And yeah, so that's why you would want to make a custom skeleton, because if your chain doesn't line up, you want the chain to work properly, and that's how you do it. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's all for the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or join the Open KH Discord. See ya!